My brother's girlfriend kept humiliating my wife all through Easter dinner, until my mom stood up and changed the entire room. Easter dinner is supposed to be the easy holiday. No big gift pressure. No complicated traditions. Just food, family, maybe some chocolate. Everyone pretends to be in a good mood. That's what I thought this year. I was wrong. My name is Adam. I'm 34. My wife is Maya. We've been together for 7 years, married for 3. And until this Easter, I would have described my family as normal. A little loud, sometimes. Occasionally annoying in the specific way that only your own family can be. But fundamentally fine. I don't use the word fine the same way anymore. My brother is named Cole. He's 29. He's been dating a woman named Brianna for about 8 months. I'd met her twice before Easter, once briefly at a birthday dinner, once at a family thing in January. She seemed okay both times. Confident, maybe a little sharp, but nothing that made me think twice. That should have been my first observation. When someone is sharp with no particular reason to be sharp, that's information. I filed away wrong. Easter was at my parents' house, the same house we grew up in. My mom had done the whole thing. Lamb, roasted vegetables, the bread she makes every year that takes her 2 days and that all of us have been requesting since childhood. The table was set properly. There were flowers. There was wine. It looked exactly like it always looks. Warm and familiar, and like a place where nothing bad would happen. My wife, Maya, is, and I say this not just because I love her, but because it's genuinely true, one of the easiest people to be around. She's the kind of person who remembers everyone's drink order and asks follow-up questions about things you mentioned 3 months ago. She makes people feel seen. At every family gathering we've ever attended, she's been the one helping in the kitchen, talking to whoever seems left out, keeping things moving smoothly. She was doing exactly that when Brianna arrived. We were about 40 minutes into pre-dinner drinks. Everything was relaxed. My dad was talking to Cole about something work-related. My mom and I were in the kitchen. Maya was in the living room with a glass of wine, chatting with my aunt. Brianna came in, greeted everyone, found a spot near the window. And then, about 10 minutes later, I heard something shift in the living room. Not a loud shift, just a change in the texture of the conversation. The kind you feel before you fully hear it. I came to the doorway. Maya was still smiling, but it was the careful kind of smile. The one she uses when she's deciding how to respond to something she didn't expect. Brianna was talking about her career, loudly, in the particular way people talk about their careers when they're not really talking about their career, when they're actually establishing a hierarchy. She was in finance. She'd just gotten a promotion. She mentioned her salary in a way that was technically incidental, but very much not incidental. And then she looked at Maya and said, "What is it you do again?" Maya told her. Maya is a nurse, has been for 6 years, works long shifts, does genuinely important work, has never once made anyone feel inferior about their profession. Brianna nodded slowly, the kind of nod that isn't really a nod, more like a verdict. "Oh, that's sweet," she said. "That's sweet." 2 words. I cannot overstate how much contempt can live inside 2 words when someone really commits to them. And the thing is, Maya didn't react. She just kept smiling, which honestly, I think made it worse for Brianna. I came into the room. I didn't make a thing of it. I sat down near Maya, put my hand briefly on her back, joined the conversation. Brianna pivoted smoothly, started talking about a trip she and Cole were planning, asked my aunt questions, laughed at something my dad said when he wandered in. Normal. Surface level normal. But I watched Maya for the rest of the pre-dinner hour. She was fine. She was always fine in that composed, self-contained way she has. But I know her face. I know the difference between relaxed and managing. She was managing. We sat down for dinner. My mom had put together a seating arrangement. She always does. It's her thing. And Brianna ended up directly across from Maya. For about 20 minutes, dinner was genuinely good. Food was incredible. Conversation moved around the table the way it's supposed to. My dad told the same story he tells every Easter, and we all laughed in the same places we always laugh because that's what you do. And then, my aunt asked Maya about the hospital. Just casually, how's work been? Any interesting cases, the kind of small talk you make at a dinner table. Maya started answering. Something about a challenging few weeks, a patient situation that had stuck with her, the way those things sometimes do. She was mid-sentence. Brianna interrupted her. Not aggressively. That's the thing, it wasn't a shout or a scene. It was smooth, practiced. She just started talking over Maya, as if Maya hadn't been speaking, changed the subject entirely, redirected the table's attention to herself. My aunt blinked, looked at Maya, looked back at Brianna. Maya stopped talking. She picked up her fork. She didn't say anything. Okay, and I have to be honest, in that moment, I felt something I don't feel very often. This cold, focused kind of anger. Not hot, not explosive, just very, very clear. Because Maya is the most gracious person I know. And watching her choose silence because she didn't want to cause a scene at my parents' dinner table, that did something to me. I looked at Cole. Cole was eating. He'd seen it. I could tell he'd seen it because he had the same slightly too focused expression he used to get as a kid when he was pretending not to notice something he absolutely noticed. He didn't say anything. I didn't say anything either. Not yet. I was still deciding what kind of situation this was. The answer came about 15 minutes later. My mom had made a comment about how good it was to have everyone together. Something warm and general. The kind of thing you say at a family dinner. Brianna said, "Yes, it's so nice. Though I have to say, some people make it harder to enjoy." Complete silence. Just silence. My mom looked confused. My dad looked up from his plate. My aunt froze with her fork halfway to her mouth. Maya went very still. I said, "What does that mean?" Brianna smiled. That specific smile. "Oh, nothing. Just an observation." "It's not nothing," I said. "You just said something pointed at this dinner table, and I'm asking what you meant." Cole put his fork down. "Adam." "No," I said. "Cole, she just said something in front of our whole family, and I'd like to understand what she meant. Some people in the comments are going to say I should have let it go, that it wasn't worth it, that I escalated, and I've thought about that. But here's what I keep coming back to. If I'd stayed quiet, what message does that send? To Maya, who'd been sitting across from this person for an hour absorbing small cuts. To my family, about what's acceptable at our table. Silence has a cost too. People forget that. Brianna looked at me with this expression of total composure. Like she'd been ready for this. She said, "I just think some people try too hard to fit in. It can come across as a little desperate." The table had gone completely silent. I looked at my wife. Maya was looking at the tablecloth, jaw tight, completely still. I looked back at Brianna, and I said, "I need you to hear me very clearly. My wife has been nothing but gracious to you since you arrived. What you've been doing tonight, the comments, the interruptions, this is not okay. Not in my parents' home. Not anywhere near my wife." Cole stood up. "Okay, everyone needs to just calm down." "I am calm," I said. "I'm very calm. I'm asking your girlfriend to explain why she's been taking shots at Maya all night." Brianna turned to Cole. "See, this is what I was talking about. She has him completely." "Stop." I said it quietly. "Don't finish that sentence." She finished it anyway. Wrapped around her finger. It's actually a little sad. My mom stood up. I want to tell you about my mom for a second because she is the most conflict-avoidant person alive. She has spent 63 years smoothing things over, finding middle ground, keeping the peace. She once talked two arguing neighbors into sharing a fence repair. She is not a confrontational woman. She stood up, looked at Brianna, and said, "That is enough. That is my daughter-in-law you were speaking about. I think you need to take a moment." The room was so quiet I could hear the candles. Brianna looked genuinely surprised, like she hadn't expected that particular wall to be there. Cole said, "Bree, maybe we should—" "I'm fine," she said, but her composure had cracked slightly, just at the edges, just enough to see that underneath the confidence was something else. Something that had very much not gone the way she'd planned. And this is the part that stayed with me afterward. Because people who do what she was doing, the slow, deniable, sophisticated version of making someone feel small, they usually count on no one naming it. They count on the social pressure of the dinner table to keep everyone quiet. When someone calls it out clearly, it lands differently. The whole game changes. Cole took Brianna outside. They were out there for about 10 minutes. I could see them through the window, not hear them, just see. Cole talking. Brianna with her arms crossed, then less crossed, then something in her expression that shifted. Inside, my mom touched Maya's hand across the table and said, "You have nothing to prove to anyone at this table. I hope you know that." Maya nodded. She held it together until that moment, and then she didn't. Just briefly, her eyes filled, and she pressed her lips together and said thank you in a voice that was very quiet. I moved my chair next to hers. We didn't say anything. We just sat there. Cole came back in alone. Sat down. Said Brianna was going to take a few minutes in the car. Then he looked at Maya and said, "I'm sorry. I should have said something earlier. I saw it happening and I didn't say anything and that was wrong." Maya looked at him for a moment. "Thank you," she said. "That means a lot." That apology from Cole, I've thought about it a lot since then. Because it would have been easy for him to defend her, to downplay it, to do the thing people do when they're caught between loyalty to a partner and loyalty to what's right. He didn't do that, and I think it matters. It doesn't fix everything, but it matters. Brianna came back inside about 20 minutes later. She was quieter. She said something to my mom that I didn't hear, and my mom nodded. She didn't say anything directly to Maya. We finished dinner. It wasn't the same as it had been before. It couldn't be, there was no putting that hour back in the box, but it was okay. Conversation came back slowly. My dad refilled everyone's wine. My aunt asked my mom about the bread recipe, which she does every year and my mom loves every time. By the time we had dessert, it was almost normal. Almost. Cole, and I talked on the phone a few days later. He said Brianna had been dealing with something personal that she'd been taking out on the wrong people. He said he'd had a serious conversation with her about it. He said he cared about our relationship, his and mine, and he didn't want Easter to be a line in the sand. I told him I appreciated that. I told him what mattered to me was simple. My wife is a full member of this family, and she gets treated like one. That's not a high bar. That's the floor. He said he understood. I believe him. I think he does understand. As for Brianna, I don't know yet. 8 months is not a long time. People can change. People can also reveal themselves pretty completely in a single evening. I'm watching, and I'm being honest with myself about what I see. Maya and I talked about it that night when we got home. She was more philosophical about it than I was, which is very her. She said, "Some people walk into a room and need to know immediately where they rank. And when they can't figure it out, they try to push until they can." I said, "You don't have to be gracious about it." She said, "I'm not being gracious. I'm just not interested in letting someone else's insecurity become my problem." I looked at her for a moment. "How are you like this?" I said. She laughed, actually laughed, and just like that, the evening got lighter. I'm telling you this because Easter is supposed to be a reset, a beginning. Spring, new things, the whole symbolic package. And in a weird way, this one was. Not because of what happened at the table, but because of what happened around it. My mom standing up, my brother saying I'm sorry, my wife sitting steady through all of it. There are moments that show you who people actually are, where the performance drops and you see what's underneath. This Easter showed me something about almost everyone in that room. Most of what I saw, I'm proud of. The rest, I'm paying attention.